The following is a presentation of the Pro Wrestling Report. Television, radio, internet, the world. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report. We are live on 540 ESPN, streaming all over the world at ESPNMilwaukee.com and on Blog Talk Radio. I want to welcome you wherever you're listening across this great nation and across this great world. Damian Nelson here with the Cause, David Octavius of Tiberius, the alleged Hall of Famer hero, and the lovely social media diva, Linda Kay. What a night. A lot to talk about tonight, a very eventful WWE Raw, and so much more. We're going to be taking your phone calls. The number, 414-276-ESPN, 414-276-3776, or all over the world at 1-800-990-ESPN, 1-800-990-3776. Before we get into this, remind all of you listening to us on Blog Talk Radio right now, that there's only one thing we ask of you tonight, and that's to follow the show. Follow the Pro Wrestling Report, the number one sports show, most popular sports show on all of Blog Talk Radio. Team, tonight, a retirement, one that may have been expected, but I'm not sure if it was expected so quickly. The World Heavyweight Champion, he who was victorious at WrestleMania 27, tonight hangs up the boots and retires, Edge deciding to leave the professional wrestling business, at least as an in-ring performer. Lots of discussion on this on our Facebook page. We're going to get to some of those comments in just a moment, but I want to go around the room and talk about this, what I would say, shocking turn of events tonight. Edge retiring from WWE.
It sounds like a vacation to me. I'm shocked by it.
He's done.
You're playing the role of David Hero tonight, huh? Doubting.
No, I mean, I think he just wants time off.
Frankie's done.
You think? I don't know.
From what I've been hearing now is that doctors aren't going to clear him anymore. His neck, he has spinal problems, and there's been a narrowing of the spine where there's been fluid buildup, and the doctors said they will not clear him to wrestle another match for fear of paralysis or even death.
See, I think of it as it's obviously a different injury than Shawn Michaels had about 10 years ago, where he basically, his back issue, and I don't think I'll be able to wrestle again. And then 2 years later, whatever that time frame was, he was back. So I think Edge...
Shawn was out for 4 years.
Okay.
With back surgery. It proved to be more successful than anybody thought it could be. But Edge, this was several years ago where he did have that surgery. And he's been working with a lot of other injuries on top of this, Frank. So I think it gets to a point in this business where you have to reach that crossroads and you have to decide what's good for me.
Right. And I think if that's the case, then you're right more than you're wrong. Then it's a sad way to end your career because of an injury.
He ended his career winning at WrestleMania in front of 72,000 people.
And Linda.
True. However, it's an injury that's causing him to leave.
Right.
That's the sad part of it.
Absolutely. He's not leaving on his own terms, but what better way to go out?
Right. And basically what wrestlers leave on their own terms anyway.
The Rock.
That's rare.
That's it.
Rare. And the other point that must be made is typically a wrestling retirement does not equal retirement, which is understandable, and it's not just in the wrestling business, it's in many other businesses.
He's a young guy.
Yeah, he's mid-30s.
Yeah.
But, he's made a lot of money. He'll still be around doing appearances. I'm sure you'll see him at the different Wizard World Comic-Con conventions and car shows, signing autographs. He's not going to be gone. He's just not going to be in the ring. And you know what? He doesn't have to wrestle anymore.
True.
We've talked about Edge at great length on this show over the last few months and actually speculated as to his role, his position, his status in WWE, specifically amongst the WWE Universe. Edge has sort of been spinning his wheels for the last several months. I would say probably after that extended program that he had with Kane. I'm not saying he wasn't relevant, but he certainly became less relevant due to the talents or the stories that he was in, absolutely, over the last few months. And to have this happen tonight on Raw with no advance notice, really no hoopla, I think kept it special. And you always wonder when you're watching these things, is this real? Is this real? Is this true? From the emotion exuded by Edge, from the way WWE treated it on television, from the tribute as he walked back through the curtain for the last time, the look on his face when his music played for what might have been the last time as he stood up on the stage, this was a real moment.
Well, apparently it all happened at WrestleMania is when the doctors did all the testing and stuff on his neck. And he was cleared for WrestleMania, and they said, that's it. There's nothing else left for him to do.
Which, if that's the case, makes sense that he won.
Absolutely.
And because it made all the sense in the world for Del Rio to win this thing. And if they had decided, you know what, Edge, this probably is going to be your last match, let's send him out, with a win. And we'll work on the Del Rio stuff, and eventually he'll get that title.
You know what? And Christian versus Del Rio is going to be the exact same kind of match as Edge versus Del Rio.
Yeah, a lot of the fans here on Facebook just very shocked, very surprised. Everybody missing or, showing how much they'll miss Edge. In fact, we have a comment here from Mark Petty saying he retired because he put his body on the line for us fans, and it caught up with him. He could have had his life ruined just to entertain us fans. Top superstar and Hall of Famer next year? A lot of people are putting that gear on.
Little soon for the Hall of Fame, but you never know. I mean, it could happen.
There's speculation in 2 years that WrestleMania is in Toronto. That would kind of make sense. It would be a little early still, but if you're going to retire, at least do it in your home country.
Right.
So, one of our followers on Twitter, to a question asked a moment ago, RKO Styles is the username, telling us that Edge is 37 years old. So,
it's mid-30s.
Absolutely. And let's not forget, the people working in the factory down the road have got to wait till 65, 66 to retire. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, but they don't have a broken neck.
Exactly. And it's not the end of the world to, at a young age, be able to make this decision along with your doctors and your consultants to walk away and be able to do so very successfully.
And he will. I'm telling you, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if he's an ambassador for the WWE from now on, where he's the guy that goes to the press conferences or on the international tour press conferences and whatnot. I mean, he's well-spoken. He's a good-looking guy. People like him. Mm-hmm. He's done in the ring, but that's all he's done with is in the ring.
This week on the Pro Wrestling Report radio show, which is live right now, we're going to be talking about a lot more regarding WWE Raw, and a very eventful Raw tonight, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. A very eventful Raw, almost seeming like this should have been the Raw that aired last week, but a Raw that I think ended with a little bit of surprise in the minds of a lot of viewers around the world, and we'll talk about that as we go down the line. We're going to go to your phone calls now, and again, we want to hear your thoughts on Edge's retirement from WWE and wrestling. We're also later going to talk about the backlash, the substantial backlash that we've been hearing regarding WWE being only known now as WWE. Let's go to the phones, and let's go to David from Michigan, who's calling us on line one. David, you're live here on the Pro Wrestling Report. David, how are you? All right, looks like we don't have David there. Let's try going to Justin, who's waiting on line two. Justin, you're live.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Tremendous.
Pretty
How
good.
are you?
Great. I just want to talk about the retirement of Edge. For some reason, I thought it was a work at first until they actually showed backstage with everyone clapping, showing them support and respect. I kind of figured that he was going to retire soon, but I didn't think it was just going to be this quickly. You could tell that in the ring that he's hurting a little bit. You could tell the way how he's performing, the past year. But I just want to ask y'all a quick question, a little bit off the Edge topic. Around this time this year, WWE gives their releases with some superstars. Who do you think may be released, like a Kurt Hawkins or David Hart Smith or somebody like that?
Wow. That's really hard to speculate. I couldn't even guess if anyone's on a hot seat, quote unquote.
Well, every year around this time, around WrestleMania time, Justin, we hear the rumors start about people being released from WWE. Now, it's no secret as well that WWE Superstars recently lost his home on WGN, so that increased that speculation. I certainly don't want to sit here and try to gander or guess as to people who may lose their jobs. And quite frankly, we hope that nobody does, but there's certainly some trimming they can do in WWE. But at the same time, we're going to talk about this later in the program, they've got to worry about more than trimming and worry about utilizing their roster in its entirety right now to replace the Edges of the world, because WWE is in a bit of a pickle. Thank you very much for that call, Justin, and we're continuing to take your phone calls. The number 414-276-ESPN.
How do you get in a pickle?
414-276. You ever watch SpongeBob?
No.
ESPN, or all over the world at 1-800-990-ESPN.
Why is it
1-800-990-3776. We're also taking your text messages tonight. We'll go ahead and give you that number when we come back. And, again, your comments on Twitter and Facebook as well. We're going to take a time out. When we come back, more discussion about WWE Raw tonight, Edge's retirement from wrestling, and so much more. This is the award-winning Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com.
For the latest interviews, blogs, contests, and more, log on today to the all-new ESPNMilwaukee.com.
You think you know me?
Welcome back to the award-winning Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN. We're streaming live at ESPNMilwaukee.com and on Blog Talk Radio with Dragon behind the glass. It's a good night. It's been so long since we've seen Dragon. Dragon!
Good thing there are still no redheads here.
What?
Oh, that's right.
Dragon's not a fan of the redheads. There was an incident. Damian Nelson, host of the year here with the Cos, Frank Cosentino, David Octavius, and Tiberius, the alleged Hall of Famer hero, and the lovely Linda Kay, our social media diva. And I think Twitter's been going wild along with Facebook and everywhere else.
Yes, a lot about Edge here. And actually a comment on Twitter comes from Legnuts6 saying, I finally got to see Edge at SmackDown at East Lansing, Michigan, a class act, the rated R superstar, rated A in my book. Well put.
Lots of comments about Edge. I think this really caught the wrestling world by surprise. However, if you've been paying attention to what's been going on over the last few months, Edge has been very vocal in his pending retirement from wrestling, saying somewhere between maybe 12 to 18 months from a few months ago he planned to call it quits. And as you said, David Hero, things accelerating a little bit because you don't want to take risk. You don't want to take a risk in permanently paralyzing yourself. It's just not worth it in any industry at any time. And Edge seemingly probably did that a few times. Let's go back to the phones. Let's go down to Ricardo on line 3. You're live.
Yo, what up, dogs?
What up? There he is.
Ricardo.
What up? About tonight, I'm bummed out. Honestly, the whole with Edge overshadowed everything on Raw. I'm bummed out. It was one of my favorite wrestlers to watch, and now he's gone. And we're probably gonna be left with Del Rio and Christian at Extreme Rules. Yeah, and I have no problem with that. But now it makes all the sense in the world. I was whining and complaining last week why Del Rio didn't win the world title at WrestleMania. But now it makes all sense in the world. Edge won his first Rumble last year. He goes out on the top of WrestleMania. It makes all sense in the world now that he's going to retire.
Thank you very much for that call, Ricardo. Again, great sentiment for Edge. Edge, been around for a long time, touched a lot of people, and as he said tonight, has held the most championships of any star in WWE history.
You know what? It's kind of funny. I mean, I know there's a lot of fans that are going to miss Edge, and some are going to cry and whatever else. But let's face it. In the past year, how many phone calls have we gotten about Edge?
None.
Yeah. So are you really going to miss him that much, or did you all just take him for granted?
That's to the point that we've been making for the last several months, at least I've been making. Edge has been sort of irrelevant. Sorry, that sounds harsh, but due to the situation he's been in SmackDown and some of the storylines he's been in, he hasn't been as important as he has been.
But he's the world champion for the past, 4, 5, 6 months?
The secondary title, yes.
guys. We, again, are taking your text messages as well tonight.
SMS or MMS? Both?
Both. Why not? All right. We got one from the 631 area code saying, thank you, Edge, for all the TLC matches, all the great matches in general, from being the loner to the brood to comedian with Christian to being one of the best heels and the intense personas. Thank you for everything. And again, everyone, you can shoot us a text message here at 414-219-9125. Again, the number here is 414-219-9125.
We're going to continue talking about Edge's retirement announcement tonight live on WWE Raw, but also to come in this program, we're going to get to an hour two. Scott Hall, a troubling situation.
Hey, yo.
Showed its face last weekend, and we need to talk in-depthly about that. And we're also going to talk about WWE Tough Enough, some noteworthy things going on over on that program. And I think WWE has a hit on its hands. And also, while WWE may have gotten the quote-unquote F out a few years ago, now they've gotten the wrestling out of their name, too. We're going to talk about that.
Well, and let's not forget, we're going to be in Cincinnati this weekend.
Sin City?
No. Cincinnati.
For TNA Lockdown, we're going to talk about that as well. Be the Booker returns this week on PWR Television for TNA Lockdown. But let's continue on the phone lines. Let's go to Antoine, who's calling us on line one. Antoine, you're live.
Hey, how you guys doing tonight?
Spectacular.
Doing good.
Tremendous.
Yeah. About Edge, he was like the only reason I was really watching SmackDown for a long time. Besides, when JBL left, commentary-wise.
The wrestling god.
Exactly. But do you think with Edge leaving and the way they had Christian, following around Edge, do you think they're going to give him the world title pretty soon?
Christian?
Yeah, Christian.
I think it's possible. I think they really got to get that belt on Del Rio just to give him a run that I think he's earned.
You never know, though.
But you're right. You never know.
What? I would hope Del Rio would get it, but we're talking about the WWE. I wouldn't be surprised if they put the belt on Christian. But if they want to improve ratings, let the babyface chase the heel. That's how you always do better.
Unless we not forget, Christian's been TNA/NWA champion a couple times, but never held a major title.
Oh, he's been the ECW world champion.
He's never held a major title in WWE.
That's brutal, dude.
Antoine, thank you for that call. Let's go down to Mike, who's calling from Iowa. You're live here on the Pro Wrestling Report.
How's it going, guys?
Hey, Mike.
I just had one real quick question. I was just wondering what your guys' favorite moments were during Edge's career.
Besides the celebration with Lita?
Thanks, Mike.
Besides that, yeah.
TLC matches for me. I mean, those were just
you have to think
amazing.
of, I believe it was No Mercy 99, that historic TLC match, the Terry Invitational Tournament between the Hardys and Edge and Christian, which really put that match on the map and match that was the highlight reel of highlight reels.
Yep.
But really for me, it seemed as if there was a special moment back in, I believe, 2006 when Edge cashed in his Money in the Bank. And it was one of the first Money in the Bank cash-ins, if not the first.
It was the first.
And it was done so well and executed so well. And that was right all around the time when Edge was the most opportunistic champion in WWE history. I really liked that era of Edge. But as he talked about tonight, he's done so much. That matchup he had with Undertaker at WrestleMania 24, I remember being in the Citrus Bowl saying, Edge is headlining and main eventing a WrestleMania. And it's sort of like with Edge, you realized these things either as they were happening or after they happened, and he wasn't that huge star. He was no Batista, he was no Cena, no Hogan, no Warrior, as far as his size goes, but he was always able to make it happen.
He found a way to communicate with the fans, where they would invest in him. Either they loved him or they hated him. And it all started out when he was with the Brood.
Right. Thank you for calling, Mike, from out in Iowa. We've got about a minute left. We're going to get to one last phone call, at least in this segment, and we're going to go to Columbus, Ohio. Adam, you're live.
Hey, guys. How's Milwaukee?
Doing good, Adam.
Just hearing the show, and, everyone's still kind of letting the shock set in about Edge retiring tonight. And I'm one of the fans of WWE currently who remembers Edge in those Brood days and as that comedy tag team. And I guess the one thing I will always remember about Edge, outside of the TLC matches with the Hardys and the Dudleys, is the fact that he was like one of the last great tag team guys when the company cared about the tag team division. He was like one of those last. He was like one of the last hallmarks of the tag team division, and then after Edge and Christian, and then it kind of just faltered.
Yeah, that it did, and thank you for that call, Adam out in Columbus, Ohio. You know, tag team wrestling in WWE is a bit of a joke at this time, and that's not attributed to any of the talents who are wrestling in that division, but it's the way the company is choosing to present it. And really, you know, the 5-second pose, the ENC, the Edge and Christian days, Edge was such a diverse character that he really, as you said, David Hero, was able to connect with a lot of fans out there. And at different points in his career, he probably reconnected and connected over and over again with a lot of fans.
You know, with Edge retiring, that just leaves Triple H, Kane, and Taker and Big Show.
And Miz and Cody Rhodes.
No. Left from the Attitude Era. That's it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
if you want to add the Brooklyn Brawler in that, too. Right?
We're going to take a time out. When we come back, we're going to talk more about WWE Raw, the Scott Hall situation, a passing today in professional wrestling, and so much more. This is the award-winning Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN, streaming live at ESPNMilwaukee.com. Welcome back to the award-winning Pro Wrestling Report here on 540 ESPN, streaming live at ESPNMilwaukee.com and ESPNMilwaukee.com. You're picking the themes tonight on Facebook.
Absolutely. Make sure to go to our page at Facebook.com/Pro Wrestling Report. And that song, thank you, Lucas Cabrera, for choosing the APA.
Vintage.
Oh, my God. I forgot what that was. I saw Frank bobbing his head, and I still couldn't figure it out.
He's playing with this Edge doll over here.
Yeah, really?
No joke, folks.
Really?
Thank you very much for joining us. This is the Pro Wrestling Report. We're taking your phone calls.
Is that the thumb wrestler Edge?
I don't think so.
The number 414-276-ESPN or all over the world at 1-800-990-ESPN, 1-800-990-3776. Damian Nelson here along with Linda Kay, David Octavius, the Tiberius Hero, and the Kaz. And talking about Edge's retirement announcement on WWE Raw tonight, but that wasn't the only thing that happened on Raw tonight. And another noteworthy thing was what appeared to be the first look at Awesome Kong in WWE. A video aired, which was, to me at least, clearly Awesome Kong, and I was elated to see that it appears as if they're going to make Kong a monster again, because in her hand was a blonde-haired Barbie-ish doll that she decapitated. I think a message to the divas in WWE, and really, in my opinion, this is what the WWE Women's Division needs. And if you saw what happened after Brie Bella won the Divas Championship tonight, if you look at who aligned themselves with each other in the locker room, it was Gail Kim and it was Beth Phoenix. And, David, those two have what in common compared to most of the other divas?
Well,
they can wrestle.
Yeah, and Gail Kim has had some amazing matches with Awesome Kong as well.
In that 5 minutes or so on Raw tonight, I think that they literally took the Divas division in a brand new direction, and everyone, I'm very excited to see Awesome Kong come in and steamroll through the Divas of WWE, because she is, pardon the pun, the anti-diva.
And it's needed. It's a needed different.
She can't steamroll everybody, though. You just can't kill the entire division.
The first
David, we are referencing WWE.
Okay, what would be the first diva she could take out, just to kind of show how
Kelly.
Her strength.
Everyone
and all that?
loves Kelly. She's the first one that has to go.
And she'd go in as a heel, probably?
Kong?
Yeah.
Absolutely. My only concern is that Kong does that and rolls over everybody only to lose to Michelle McCool. That would be heartbreaking.
Because after she rolls over everybody, then what?
She aligns herself with Kane.
Really?
That's just a guess.
Frank.
Think back to Awesome
How
Kong.
many female wrestlers have had masks?
Gail Kim, she was La Felina.
Think back to Awesome Kong's time in TNA. You talked about those matches with Gail Kim, and things got bad for the Knockouts division when the Gail Kims and the Awesome Kongs of the world left. Awesome Kong's a tremendous talent, and it's going to be very different from what a lot of WWE fans have been exposed to in that company.
Well, and also the current crop of divas aren't used to working the Awesome Kong style of a match. They're going to get hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, Kong is
That's
not.
an understatement.
She's not gentle. I mean, you ask ODB, you ask Gail Kim, you ask Tracy Brooks, anyone that wrestled with her in the TNA Knockouts division, they all said Kong beat him up.
How long before she gets the Diva title?
Ugh.
I would
She's going to
say
drop it in the trash can on Nitro.
Well, you know what? I could see Kong getting that belt within the month.
All right, guys. We got some comments here on Facebook regarding this. We have Jorge Ortiz saying, finally, a shakeup in the WWE Diva division. Hopefully, she can do what she did for TNA. And we have Andrew Koyadari saying, looks like WWE is actually breathing some life back into the women's division.
I, for one, am excited to see when this all plays out over the next few weeks on WWE television. Also on WWE Raw tonight, we saw a extended matchup with the new superstar, wildly heralded superstar, Sin Cara, going up against Primo Colon, although they never told you what his name was, in a long matchup, a good matchup, one that showcased the talents of Sin Cara. We didn't talk about it last week, but your thoughts, gentlemen, on Sin Cara and the 2 weeks that we've seen him in WWE.
Extremely athletic. That's the first thing that came to mind. I mean, it's not easy to jump off that top rope with height. You know, you're going to need that other person to kind of help you out there. But right off the bat, extremely athletic.
The Lumberg. The State Farm commercial. Lumberg.
You're watching TV instead of paying attention to the show? Really?
Frank was.
I still see Rey Mysterio when I see Sin Cara come out.
Really?
Plus 3 or 4 inches.
Do you have depth perception issues?
Absolutely. Come on. He's, I don't know. I'm not impressed yet.
All right.
Having him work with Primo is not going to, keep me interested.
All right.
All right.
Jerry Lawler defeats Jack Swagger in a matchup that would determine whether or not Michael Cole would retire or whether or not he and Jerry Lawler would have a rematch at Extreme Rules. JR was in the corner of Jerry Lawler, and Jerry Lawler, after the matchup and after Michael Cole slaps the face of Jack Swagger, makes it a tag team matchup, Cole and Swagger versus JR and the King.
That sucks. At
Extreme Rules. And it didn't suck as much until we found out the third man in the main event at Extreme Rules, which is R-Truth. This pay-per-view is not shaping up real well.
It doesn't have to. It's the one throwaway of the year.
No, I disagree.
Really?
I disagree.
Why?
Actually, it's interesting because their May pay-per-view has been one of the stronger performers over the years because what they've done in the past is it's been somewhat of a fallout from WrestleMania.
If WrestleMania rematches at regular price is what it is.
They used to call it Backlash, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the swinging hooks, one of the best WWE stages.
Listen, they put R-Truth or K-Quick or Ron Killings.
Who is, by the way, an extremely talented individual.
Absolutely.
Who I think is portrayed in the wrong way in WWE.
But they're putting him in
begin.
there to keep Cena and Miz separated because, listen, the fans don't want to see another Cena-Miz match so soon. And this way, Miz gets to go over and win again because R-Truth is involved.
Right. I hear those wagon wheels turning.
Yeah?
And it's just such a great sound.
Okay. What, the chuck wagon sound?
No, the bandwagon sound, because you're on it.
Dude,
bro.
I am not on any bandwagon.
Frank, which step is denial? Was that the first step?
The river.
Usually, but you have to admit it first. Kind of like standing up and saying, I'm picking the Miz again.
Okay.
It's kind of like group therapy.
It makes sense to keep Miz strong, to keep the belt on him.
They have to. That I will agree with you with.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be at least...
Because if it's just Cena versus Miz, and the Miz somehow beats Cena, it just hurts the product overall.
What's
Because
after
where does
Extreme
Cena go after that?
What's after Extreme Rules?
I don't know.
Capital Punishment. New pay-per-view replacing Fatal 4-Way, I believe. Or the Bash.
And that's in D.C., right?
Yes, indeed, at the Verizon Wireless Center.
Now, where is the
Extreme Rules?
Yeah, where's that pay-per-view?
I believe it's in Tampa or Miami.
Somebody needs to let Ron Killings know where he's supposed to be. I don't want him to go to the wrong place.
Listen, think about the good thing that came out of that botch. A Milwaukee chant.
Right, and since then you haven't seen him on TV.
Right.
Until tonight.
And Cena had to come back and...
You know what's funny? And I hate to admit this.
Here we go.
But no,
that you were wrong?
No, I wasn't wrong. But when we were in Atlanta...
Atlanta.
And we were walking into the hotel. And there was R-Truth.
R-Truth.
I'm thinking, why is he here? For some reason, I thought he was still at TNA. Because I hadn't seen him on TV for so long. I was like, what is he doing here?
He was next to him at the Hall of Fame, right next to him.
Well, yeah, but I wasn't.
Did he come up to you?
You could have been.
Did he ask you what's up?
Listen, who would have looked better on camera, Linda or myself? Linda, hands down.
Well, you couldn't sit next to Cody Rhodes.
No,
that's why you gave up that ticket.
Happen.
It wasn't going to happen.
Chicken.
No, I did him a favor. I did.
The glare of his mask.
We speak about R-Truth, and it's certainly got to admit that he beat John Morrison tonight.
Oh, and Dolphy Z over Randy Orton.
Dolph Ziggler tonight. Dolph Ziggler beating Randy Orton. As you
Poor
just
Randy.
Said, an interesting five-man gauntlet match to determine the Miz's opponent for Extreme Rules, a match that saw the Miz and Alex Riley get involved. Now, here's my question. If the match ended in a double disqualification, which it did, which qualified R-Truth and John Cena to be a part of that three-way match at Extreme Rules, Nexus returning and getting involved in the matchup and taking out or allowing Randy Orton to be taken out, doesn't that make him qualify as well?
No, because he wasn't one of the last two guys in the ring.
But there were extenuating circumstances.
You're splitting hairs, man.
Yeah.
I don't have any.
Damien, just let it be. Your guy's going to go over
You're
again.
splitting whiskers.
He's going to win
As
another
I said before, let the tweets begin. I'm not hating on R-Truth.
It seems like it. It really does.
I have some philosophical differences with the way he's presented in WWE.
Is it the jeans?
Yes. And the piercings, tattoos.
And the what's up?
He's an amazingly talented individual, but when you look at everybody there, I'm not sure that's the direction they should be going in. We'll see what happens. So, we're going to take another time out when we come back.
Would you rather him have the Jimmy Wang Yang gimmick?
Yes.
Really?
Sure.
Okay.
No, I wouldn't rather him have the Jimmy Wang
Well,
Yang
you
gimmick.
said yes.
That was sarcasm.
How would you have him?
I'm not a booker.
How would you
I'm not a
market
booker.
Ron Killings?
How would I market Ron Killings?
Yes.
I would market him as a tremendous wrestler, an athlete,
which
somebody who could perform, who just happens. I'm not going to get into that. That's a slippery slope to slide down. I'm not sliding down it.
Slide.
I think that without sensationalizing certain perceptions,
gimmick.
He is in a gangster's paradise, and I got no problem with that.
Got the same haircut too.
When we come back, we're going to talk to James, Will, and Ron. This is the award-winning Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN at ESPNMilwaukee.com. Does it? Absolutely perfect. Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN, ESPNMilwaukee.com, Blog Talk Radio, PWRShow.com. Damian Nelson, the Cause, Dave Hero, and Linda Kay coming to you here live on Monday, April 11, 2011. Frank, have you filed your taxes yet?
I did.
All right, you have a week from today, you know. Did you everything accounted for? Because, I mean, that's usually how they...
Accounting took care of it.
That's how they Wesley Snipes you.
I wasn't going in that route.
No.
The payment tax.
You know, Capone, Family Secrets.
I have to get an extension. I forgot it's coming up.
Extensions like Hogan?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. What do you mean?
Hair extensions.
Does that qualify as our TNA talk for this week?
Yeah, if you want it to be. I mean, it's your show. Remember, you're the star.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah.
I'm a little hot, though.
I can't wait till the draft this week. Oh, I get the first pick, number 1.
I am still going to sit here and call shenanigans. Earlier today, the coin toss occurred.
You saw it. It was right in front of you.
I didn't see the other side of the coin. I believe that coin had the same thing on both sides, thus making it an illegal device, a foreign object.
Whoa, you
used
think
in the
Cal
coin
would
toss.
do that?
I'm not going to blame him.
He had the quarter.
Look, Cal and I are good.
Yeah?
Ever since a couple weeks ago when you wouldn't let me share who the Nelson family were, we're good.
Well, you get
This
your chances.
Friday,
You can draft
you'll
your whole
find
family.
out who the Nelson family is, and you somehow or another have won the first draft pick
Number 1.
of the 10 names that will be drawn this Friday on the Pro Wrestling Report television program.
Could.
10 names. 10 names get picked on either side, and each pay-per-view points are issued. And come WrestleMania 28 from Miami, Florida, we'll determine
Frank,
who
what if
won.
I draft the Miz number 1? How funny
Don't
would
you
that
dare
be?
do it. Don't you dare sit there and talk about that. Don't you think that is not an option? That is not a no. No,
you
that
have
is
the
not
first
no.
pick. I do
no,
have the first
stop.
pick.
No.
You know what's funny is after
Nothing's funny about that.
Yes, after the coin toss, we got the tweets and the Facebooks, and people are begging me, take the Miz number 1, drive Nelson nuts.
You don't want to see me if you pick the top draft pick
Well, then you can
as
take
your
John
number
Cena
1
because
pick.
then no one can see you.
Keep in mind, this is all about points.
Yes.
I'm a strategist. All right?
Okay.
When I worked on the campaign in 2008, you see the result.
I know.
I'm a strategist. I can make things
Well,
happen.
I saw the result in my wallet, too. Thanks, pal. Nice job there.
$4 for gas.
Right?
Oh, yeah, that's his fault.
It is. It's on his watch.
And we're going to drive to Cincinnati at $4 a gallon.
Drive? Dude, I'm on the Lear.
Well, I'm
not
driving.
driving anywhere. Virgil quit after Atlanta.
Well, then you better call G.
He quit after the first night.
Well, it was that night where he left the car parked outside the Waffle House,
Waffle House.
keys in it, and
Wow.
it's running,
Yes. In the
and
middle
there
of
was
the
nobody
street.
there to park it.
Well, there is no valet at the Waffle House, you jabroni.
But there should have been.
There was a Briscoe on the car, though.
There was.
We are looking for a driver
That's
for
why he quit.
WrestleMania 28.
I ain't driving no Briscoe.
Whoa. I don't remember Virgil sounding like that.
It was late. It was like 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah, nice job. Way to go there, Frank.
Cracked up aspirin in the back.
Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40.
Let's go to line 3. Ron calling us from the nation's capital. You're live here on the Pro Wrestling Report.
How y'all guys doing tonight, man?
Fantastic.
That's great. That's great. And Miss Linda, how you doing, Miss Fine Lady yourself?
I'm doing good and tremendous. Feeling tremendous.
Wait a minute. Hold on. I
this
got to
show
say
anymore.
something here.
I
I got to say something here. You know, Linda, I understand you're today's flavor. You know, you're what everybody's into. But people call here and say, hey, guys. Oh, hey, Linda. How are you, Linda?
Are you jealous?
I have jealousy issues.
He must be.
Hey, if you want the fellas to say, hey, Damien, go right ahead.
I'm not. Look, Ron, from our great capital city of Washington, D.C., where great things are happening, what would you like to say this week?
Pretty much, I just want to, all joking aside, though, I really want to say this is a sad day in wrestling today. I mean, seeing the end of an era of Edge and also Larry Sweetney passing away today at a very young age. I mean, it's a very, very sad day, a professional wrestling day. And especially hearing about Larry Sweetney died today, it really grabbed me. It grabbed me in a way that I never, because I remember meeting him and going to ROH shows and how he was just a great, genuine guy. All the ROH wrestlers and all, but especially Larry. And it was a very sad day to to hear of a tragic ending. I mean, I'm a wrestling fan. I'm a wrestling fan, but also a fan of life, and just to hear that how he just committed suicide and things like that. It just
way too young. 29 years old.
Real name Alex.
Way too young.
Real name Alex Wybrow. Thank you very much for that call. Ron from our nation's capital, only 29 years old, and died today in what is being reported as a suicide. And Wybrow had been suffering from some issues with depression, and probably most well known for his time in Ring of Honor Wrestling. So obviously our condolences go out to all of his fans and his family in this very difficult time. And it's never good, and never a good day when you lose someone from the family that is professional wrestling. So obviously our condolences go out to him. Thank you very much for that call, Ron. Let's continue on the phone lines, and let's go to James, who's waiting on line 1. You're live here on the Pro Wrestling Report.
Good evening, guys. How's Milwaukee treating you guys tonight? Hope it's going well up there.
I can't complain about Milwaukee. It's actually been very
nice.
Yeah, it's been enjoyable. Tremendous.
Okay, cool. David, I know Damian would really be upset if you picked both The Miz and Cody Rhodes on the draft.
Well, hold on. Listen, if I take one, I'm not taking the other. Okay?
I just wanted
that's
to
like
say
drafting Barry Bonds and Manny Ramirez. You know? Who's going to get me in trouble?
Just wanted to say that real quick.
Hey, James, why are you stirring the pot? Why are you trying to put things in this man's head across?
I'm not stirring the pot. I was just making a suggestion to the superhero over there.
Nobody's ready. Nobody's ready for what I may do if The Miz is picked in the first round.
I mean, number one.
Nobody is prepared for that. Let me just say that. You think you've seen? You're just not ready.
Well, real quick about Edge, the very first pay-per-view that I went to was the TLC event that was down here in Houston. That was pretty cool to watch him get his last World Heavyweight title. So, I hope he's okay. And he'll, I have 2 quick questions. One, with the cancellation of superstars, do you think if some of the roster's still there, like the Yoshitasus and the Chris Masters and stuff like that, do you think that they will be moved back up to Raw and SmackDown and have active spots on the main show? And one last question, because I do have to ask this. All of your guys' percentage of the WWE taking the chance of giving R-Truth the belt at Extreme Rules?
Well, that's never going to happen. Never, ever. But also, Damien is not allowed to talk about Chris Masters on the show anymore.
That's right.
And nothing good ever comes out of that. But, here's the thing, Hashmark. With superstars being gone, it may wind up on the .com site as another show. But you got to figure with the Tough Enough kids and now NXT and Nexus and the Core, they have younger guys that'll work for less money. So they may get rid of some of these guys that have a bigger downside. Guys that aren't drawing anything right now.
Do you think they need a show like Superstars?
Well, yeah. Because that way the guys that aren't ready to be on Raw or SmackDown still have a place where they can work and fine-tune their skills.
Let's give some backstory on Superstars and the reason it was removed from WGN America. It wasn't the show that WWE promised WGN America. While the ratings were relatively solid, think about when Superstars debuted, and granted they were trying to get the word out about the show, but they did WGN a show on par with Raw or SmackDown.
That's never going to happen.
Exactly, and at first they did get that, and at this point I think it was somewhere between $5 and $10 million a year. Don't quote me on that, I could be wrong. WGN was paying WWE for the programming, and at the end of the day, I mean, how many of you in this room are watching Superstars on a weekly basis?
No.
I'll admit I DVR'd it every week, but I never watched it.
Yeah.
I always hit delete.
I'd venture to say SmackDown got in the way. Because if you're looking at your DVR, you're picking what you're going to watch. Any, mini, money, and Impact as well. Any, mini, money, mo, Superstars goes to the end of the line.
Even online, too, though. Entire episodes you can stream. You're going to have a choice of SmackDown or Superstars. I'm going to choose SmackDown.
It's all about the SmackDown.
Well, I mean, when you got Cody Rhodes over there.
Yeah. Well, I could take him with the 3rd pick. I could mess up your whole Nelson family, couldn't I? Miz number 1.
So you're going to break up my home?
No, I'm not a home wrecker.
Let's go to Will on line 2. Remember, you can be a part of the phone, part of the conversation. The number 414-276-ESPN, 414-276-3776, or all over the world at 1-800-990-ESPN, 1-800-990-3776.
See, if I take Miz 1, you'll probably take Rob Terry 2, which would then leave Cody there for me at 3.
What he's doing, Linda and Frank, is trying to get into my head, trying to pick apart my strategy, trying to find out who I'm going to pick as part of the greatest roster of 10 professional wrestlers in the history of the business.
If Edge didn't retire,
maybe he would have been on my list.
He'd be in my top 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a world champion, of course. Why not?
Yep.
Let's go to Will waiting on line 2. You're live here on the Pro Wrestling Report.
man, what's up?
Oh, I'm like, was that Ron Killings calling?
I'm sorry.
What's up,
I had
K-Quick?
to do that. I mean, we've been talking about R-Truth all night. I had to do that. I'm sorry. By the way, Damien, if you're jealous of Linda getting all the shout-outs, I've said it once before. I'll say it again. All hail King Damien. You happy?
Thank you. Yeah. Yes.
All hell,
All right.
King Damien's right.
I just got two things to say. One, thank you, Edge. Great career. You know, he's going to be missed, in my opinion, even though he wasn't really relevant over the past year or so. He's going to be missed. He was a great superstar. There's no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I wanted to talk about was Tough Enough, actually. I think so far it's been a great show. I've enjoyed it every week. I've actually picked a winner, which is that Luke kid, the big guy with the pretty boy face. Just wondering what your thoughts were on Tough Enough.
Thank you very much, Will, and thank you for that transition, that segue, rather. When we come back, we're going to talk about WWE Tough Enough as it is so far. We're into week 2 of Tough Enough, and very satisfied, at least from my standpoint. We're going to talk about it in detail. We're also going to talk about the tragic situation going on with Scott Hall. This is the award-winning Pro Wrestling Report here on 540 ESPN, streaming live at ESPNMilwaukee.com.
Read blogs from your favorite 540 ESPN personalities. Log on to the all-new ESPNMilwaukee.com.
Welcome back to the award-winning Pro Wrestling Report here on 540 ESPN, streaming live at ESPNMilwaukee.com. Damian Nelson here along with the Cos, Frank Cosentino, David Octavius Tiberius, the alleged Hall of Famer, hero, and the social media diva, Linda Kay.
I want to thank Jared Howard for that choice. Mankind, one of Mankind's songs to the ring. And again, you can always give us your song choices for our show at Facebook.com/Pro Wrestling Report.
Always great conversation there at the Pro Wrestling Report Facebook page. I understand we also have our chat room on Blog Talk Radio. Big-time discussion going on there. Almost too difficult to keep up with, you keep saying, but we encourage all of that conversation. We're also encouraging your phone calls. The number 414-276-ESPN or all over the world at 1-800-990-ESPN. And during the timeout, we got word that it's time to go over the rules for this Friday's Pro Wrestling Report
Damien,
draft.
everyone is begging me to take Miz number 1. Twitter has been blown up.
Basically hot off the presses. We all saw the...
I'd like to release a statement before you do that.
Oh, no, the statement's done.
No, on him potentially taking the Miz.
Yeah.
I'd like to release a statement. May I for a moment?
Sure.
I have no comment on that at this time.
Of course you wouldn't.
10 picks apiece. You saw the coin flip. You're going to get the first pick.
I saw the coin flip, all right. I never saw the other side of the coin, and his kid was doing it. Look, you know what?
All wrestlers are available.
I am being treated unfairly here.
No, you're not.
I am being treated unfairly.
The flip was right in front of you.
The more and more I look at this, I'm being treated unfairly.
You're kind of being yabba dabba-ish right now.
That's true. Anyway, all rosters are available.
Got to be fair to Flair.
You each get 10. The last pick is a wild card pick.
What?
Okay, we're gonna
wait. So after we draft all 10
when I
guys, there's a
signed
wild
on
card?
for this, no.
Gonna
you
happen.
may be moderating, Frank. When I signed on for this, nobody said nothing to me about no wild card.
Absolutely, you're going to have the opportunity. There'll be cards laid on the table.
Wait a minute. Whoa. So, all right, this wild card. So, if he were to do what is the unthinkable, since he got number 1,
you could have
pick,
a 1 in 10 chance. But you got to grab the right card.
Oh, I've been counting cards for years. I'll be fine.
Charlie Babbage or whatever his name is.
Who? Oh, he was a hack. Yes. Ha! You go right ahead there, David. Then you take the Miz because
so that's going to be the curveball in the end here. So you could have a great draft, and then all of a sudden you pick that one card, and
now this is going to be fun.
It's going to be fun.
That's Friday at PWRshow.com, the 2011 Pro Wrestling Report Draft, where I shall own.
I haven't even decided if I'm taking Miz number 1 yet. So
that'll throw his whole counting card theory out the window.
Don't get your panties in a bunch already, all right there, Nelson? Take it easy.
Linda didn't say a word.
I'm talking to Linda. I'm talking to you.
Take this all in.
It's going to be fine. It's going to be fun.
Let's go to line one, back to the phones. Mike is waiting, and you're live. Mike on the Pro Wrestling Report.
Hey, what's up?
What's up, Mike?
Can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Oh, okay, just making sure. Hey, I kind of had
Can you hear us?
Part question. Well, it's kind of 3 mini questions, rather. But I just want to squeeze in. Big fan of the show. Kind of stumbled upon y'all by accident, but I am very, very glad that I did.
Welcome.
Well, anyway, so my first mini question is, what do y'all think of a possible Jack Swagger face turn? Because they kind of alluded to it tonight on Raw. Second one is, what do you think of a possible Team Apple, Team Core feud? Because I actually think that has some sense. Because I can tell you straight out, I marked the hell out for when Team Apple came out, because that was just hilarious. And then my third one, which is probably the one that I would probably want the answer most to, is, what do you think are the top 3 people for them to work Sin Cara with?
Wow. Thank you, Mike, for that call. Firstly, to the point of Apple, I can see the shirts already.
Yeah.
It may have been an odd and an eclectic group, but it's one that could have somewhere to go.
Although Carlito's probably very angry right now.
Yeah, but you know what? Within that group, if it's a comedy
Why is he
act,
angry?
well, you know, he
The
has
whole
the whole Apple thing. But if you're within that group and you're an Evan
Thanks,
Bourne or you're a Daniel Bryan, I mean, you should be doing better than being a part of Apple. But at the same time, there was something to it. We'll see what happens with that. As far as Sin Cara goes, you know, it's so obvious I almost don't want to answer the question. And what I mean by that is not obvious the answer, but obvious in who many people are going to pick. But he had a great match with Primo tonight. He could have a tremendous match with Evan Bourne. He could have an excellent match
Evan
with
Bourne
Daniel
is one I
Bryan.
definitely want to see.
There are a lot of people. Justin Gabriel, a lot of people that Sin Cara could have great matches with. Now, keep in mind, there's a bit of a language barrier there, so at first things might be a little slow. But, man, the chances are endless as far as who he could wrestle.
And as far as a Swagger face turn, I could see that happening easily.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of setting it up that way.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it could have the potential to have a better run than his heel world title run.
Oh, he is the former world champion, isn't he?
I mean, because if you, his entrance is totally just portrays him like he could be probably like a top face in WWE if he would just push him that way.
Yeah.
Because he comes out, he's hopping around and stuff. He's got a lot of energy when they let him do it.
Well, there's a spot open now that Edge is gone.
That's a good
Very
point.
true.
Mike, thank you so much for that phone call. We appreciate you tuning in and welcome you to the show as a new listener. This one's going to get a little tricky because it's a difficult thing to talk about, and that is the unfortunate situation that developed over the course of the last few days pertaining to Scott Hall. Scott Hall performing and appearing at an event in New England this past Friday, and video surfaced online of his appearance at that event where it had been reported that he was in no condition to perform. Now, I'm sure many of you have seen the video, and I'm sure many of you are aware of Scott Hall's past problems. This video is unfortunately a diary of the sad state of affairs that Scott Hall is dealing with right now, and it really was disturbing to watch. A lot of controversy has come from it, but disturbing to watch. I mean, breaking it down as this is radio and we can't show you, but the video is available at pwrshow.com. From the get-go, Scott Hall had to be walked to the ring. He couldn't support his own weight.
He had to be carried to the ring.
He walked with assistance, a lot of it, to the ring, and barely got into the ring. Once he got into the ring, he thought he was in England.
Not New England.
He thought he was in England. I mean, the man didn't even realize that he had not flown over an ocean. I mean, that is telling.
Well, he did fly over the ocean to get there.
For an extended period of time, David.
Yeah, I know.
Also,
you know what?
When he gave that discus punch, I mean, and then to have to be taken out of the ring because he refused to leave by police officers, and then subsequently that next morning being taken to the hospital, this was that video image. This was that moment that put into perspective the demons and the problems that Scott Hall is facing, and to be honest with you, probably a lot of other wrestlers. However, as it pertains to Scott Hall, this has been a problem of a very, very long time.
Well, Scott Hall was going to be in Atlanta for Shawn Michaels' induction. He decided to stay home because he was concerned about all of the stuff that he was going to be around, that he couldn't stay sober while he was in town. And, we spoke with Kevin Nash and X-Pac. They're like brothers, basically, and they said he was doing good. But, all addicts, they all have that trigger. And unfortunately for Scott, something triggered that for him, wound up in the hospital the night before he's supposed to be going to New England for that event. And then, of course, he does show up in terrible shape. And some are saying his meds were mixed or whatnot. But looking at him going to the ring, me being a wrestling promoter, I've worked with talent that when they're in the back, you have no idea how bad they truly are. And you're like, there's no way they can perform. They walk through the curtain and,
a light goes on.
Yeah. A light goes on, and they can go.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I was talking to some people that were actually at the show, and they said that Hall was in just terrible shape. But he was convinced that, hey, don't worry about it. I'll be fine. Just let me get through the curtain. And he didn't kick out.
No.
And it's a shame because Scott Hall, as Razor Ramon, was one of the best wrestlers out there, threw great punches, had great matches with Shawn Michaels, with Kevin Nash, the whole thing. And super talented guy, very smart guy. He has 2 kids. You want him to get better. But does he want to get better for himself? Because this isn't the first time, and I'm hoping it's the last time, but I doubt it. He's been in rehab, I think, like 8 or 9 times in the past 10 years.
Yeah, and I think it's best to hear from his friends, such as Kevin Nash, who the real Scott Hall is. Obviously, he's got all these demons and stuff, but you can make your own judgment. That's the guys I'm listening to, saying, hey, the guy would give the shirt off his back. He's a good guy, and he's just needs some serious help, and it obviously got to start with him. And I wish the guy the best, but it's something.
Nash is trying to get Scott to move in with him and his family until they can figure out what's going on with him.
Right.
He's got those friends. He's got those people who are concerned about him. He's gone to, as you said, David, several rehab stints. And while none of us are an expert,
and none of us have ever been through that before.
Absolutely.
Right.
And we're not judging Scott Hall, so let's make that crystal clear, not judging anybody who's in this situation. But, one of the most intriguing television shows I try to tune into regularly is Intervention on A&E. And it gives you a bit more of an understanding of these problems that people face. And seeing that video surface, and there's a lot of controversy as to whether or not that pay-per-view should have ever aired, or if Scott Hall should have even been used, and David Hero, you just touched on that point. It's going to take Scott Hall to realize that Scott Hall needs help, but it's going to take a lot of very special people to get Scott Hall to that point. We're going to take our final time out of the evening. When we come back, more talk on this situation and on WWE Tough Enough. This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Welcome back to the award-winning Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN, ESPNMilwaukee.com. If I have one regret from Atlanta and WrestleMania 27, it's that there was not another Jaeger incident.
Oh, damn.
Do you want to know a bit of history? And, Linda, you'll appreciate this because you're a Jaeger girl. I, since that incident in Phoenix, do not, will not, cannot drink Jaeger.
Well, yeah, you finished off three-quarters of a bottle.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting, Damian Nelson, about this draft? I don't mean to fire you up anymore. I have now been offered almost $730 by tweeters out there that they'll put the money towards a charity if I take the Miz #1. That's kind of hard to pass up.
I'll match it and double it.
I mean, the Cal Hero College Fund charity.
I'll match it and double out for a real legitimate charity.
That is real legitimate.
With a 501(c)(3). I will match it and double it. Look, David Hero, I've got a weak heart. You can't. You can't. I mean, And I got to say something too. There's been a lot of people tweeting me on this Twitter thing that I took a break from for the last week about how dare, and a lot of YouTube comments too. How dare me try to act like Michael Cole?
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. You act nothing like Michael Cole. Todd Pettengill, not Michael Cole.
In your house.
In your house tonight.
Before this whole Michael Cole Miz thing started, I was a Miz Marquis singing the praises of the Miz. So if anybody's acting like anybody, Michael Cole's acting like me. So the next person says that I'm acting like Michael Cole,
you're going to beat him
I'm
up?
done with you.
Are you going to block him?
Amongst many others, yes. And I will make some phone calls to my friends down on the shores.
The
to
Jersey
take care
Shores?
of some people.
You going to call your snookies?
I'm just sick of it. Who are you trying to be like? I want to, and all, I'm not going to go on my Twitter rant. Okay. Look, David Hero, you're going to make me say things that I may regret due to your.
This could be an interesting draft.
I don't make you say anything.
No,
you're
over there with your remote control, pushing buttons.
This draft's going to be
Then you
genuine.
go over to the stove and you stir the soup.
Are you calling me an antagonist? That's hurtful.
Yeah.
No.
I ain't got no worries. Ain't no grave can keep my body down. I ain't got no worries about this Friday's draft because at the end of the day, with or without the star player in the business, come 1 year from now when we're sitting in that suite at Sun Life Stadium in Miami, Florida for WrestleMania 28, you will be giving me the prize pool of $2,000 to replenish the money I spent on that Miz picture at the WWE auction.
With a crack in the frame.
Because I won the 2011 Pro Wrestling Report draft. Just come to grips with that fact now, and everything will be well in the world.
Damien, I truly hope you can find a way to win when you don't have the Miz on your team. Number one, it's kind of hard to pick. It's kind of hard to pass on the champ. I can't take Sting number one. God knows what he's gonna, take off again. And as long as the Miz is wrestling guys like K-Quick every week, it looks good.
In light of what we saw at Victory Road with Jeff Hardy, which I think is relevant to this conversation about Scott Hall, the fear that I think all of us in this room has is that 1 week on this show, we're going to be having to talk about the untimely passing of another professional wrestler. That's really the troubling thing about this. Again, I barely could watch that video. Of Scott Hall and that performance on Friday in New England. Hopefully, and this is with all sincerity from all of us, hopefully that help will be found and accepted, and there'll be a great success story, like several great success stories that have also come out of the wrestling business.
Look at Road Dogg, right?
Exactly. If there's a guy that could talk to Scott Hall and now has the patience and can understand it, it's Road Dogg. And we saw him and how much of a change.
Listen, no. Here's how much Road Dogg is. We were out every night in Atlanta, and we had a blast every night in Atlanta, and Road Dogg never strayed.
Not a drop.
He was tremendous, and I was very proud of him. And and for me, it's like because I've been with him in the ups and the downs. I've been on that roller coaster ride with him, and to see how much he's grown as an individual, and how much he truly cares about where he is going now.
He did that a lot on his own, but he also had a good support staff. He's got a great family.
But listen, he was in everything was available in Atlanta.
In our suite too, had that bottle of J-Mo, and he said,
absolutely.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, Linda, you offered it to him.
No, thank
how
you.
many guys can turn down Linda and a bottle of J-Mo is what I want to know.
A very inspirational story, Road Dogg.
Who is available for bookings, by the way.
Continues to tell. And, that's another shining light and a great example of what's going on. I said we're going to talk about Tough Enough. I was reminded we talked about it briefly earlier.
My pick is Matt to win.
A runaway success, I think that show is. And if this is what we have yet to come from WWE, no longer World Wrestling Entertainment, which, by the way, if your panties are in a bundle about that, get over it. They've been WWE since they changed their name from WWF. And the fact that they're not World Wrestling Entertainment does not mean anything. It's a brand positioning. It's smart. And if this is a hint of what we are going to see down the road from WWE, it's a runaway success because Tough Enough is one damn good show.
Mm-hmm. It's done well, and Stone Cold's a great host. He fits well.
I want to remind all of you that this Sunday night TNA Lockdown is coming to you from Cincinnati, Ohio, a triple threat main event for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. All matches in a steel cage, I believe. We're going to be live with the post show from the arena in Cincinnati. Yes, indeed.
Oh my gosh.
Equal love. We go to Atlanta for Mania. We're going to Cincinnati for Lockdown. We're going to be doing the post show live.
Intern Cal will be doing it with us.
Post show live.
He's going to keep Damien in check.
There you go.
Super friends against
the
Nelson
if
family.
this draft goes as far south as you think it might go,
my team is super friends.
I may not make it to Cincinnati because I may have some legal finagling to do up here.
That's fine. You can stay home.
Be sure to tune in for that. That'll be on Blog Talk Radio. And if you're listening to us on Blog Talk Radio now, follow the show, please. Follow the show, please. And we appreciate all of you keeping us the #1 sports show on Blog Talk Radio. Dragon, it's so refreshing to see your smiling face again working with us here at 540 ESPN. Linda, we got a lot of correspondence from the Facebook, Twitter, and all kinds of worlds tonight. Remind everybody how they can get a hold of us in all those social media channels.
Absolutely. Again, for Facebook, we're at facebook.com/Pro Wrestling Report. On Twitter, it's twitter.com/PWR Show. And for Blog Talk Radio, blogtalkradio.com/PWR.
There
we go.
You better do some research, Nelson. You better find the number 2 pick.
The draft, Friday night for the Pro Wrestling Report. Be sure to tune in at PWRShow.com. Twitter, Facebook followers, you will get the first look at that episode. This is the award-winning Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com.